BPD relationships or dating a borderline, can you get them to love you again? Well, this is an often asked question, and I received this question a lot recently. And the reality is that in the BPD relationship, or when you're dating a borderline, you're not really being loved. They don't really know how to love. They can't give love. They don't receive love. They don't attach. So can you get them to love you again after maybe a split evaluation, maybe ghosting you, maybe it's an on-off situation where, because a lot of people with BPD untreated, not all are the same, have patterns of ghosting when they're really fed up, when they're triggered, when they're triggered to emotional dysregulation, when it reenacts their adverse childhood experiences that are unresolved and in the unconscious mind of the person with BPD. So, then that's when they get into the splitting and everything. But so, this idea that you can get them to love you again is predicated on the codependent illusion, the illusion of the idea of what you believed you were experiencing, that they loved you in the first place. And because they didn't love you in the first place, and because they don't see you more in idealization than they do in devaluation, because they're experiencing you as object representation, it is the dryness in here, of a parent, a wounding parent, or in idealization, a parent not had, or, that kind of thing. So anyway, no, you can't get a person with BPD to love you again after they ghost on and off, they come back, whatever the case, it's over, or you think you recycle back around the relationship. After they split you to devaluation, and it's not always the first time, but after many times, and they don't go back to idealizing you. And even when they get back to base mood, they can still just really see you in a very negative way, because people with BPD have a very negative, pervasive lens that is, they're not consciously aware of. So, and nothing really satiates the needs of untreated borderlines in any way, shape, or form. Not enough material stuff, not enough gifts, not enough attention. You can't give them attention 24/7. They're not they can't be satiated. So no matter what you do, you're not going to reach that magical button or target that goes bing and everything's going to be fine. So after they split you to devaluation, or after ghosting and on and off cycles in relationships, no, you can't get the person with BPD to love you again, because they never loved you in the first place. And so, it's not like they're going to, and they don't know how to love, and they don't know how to attach. So without treatment, this is an impossibility for the untreated person with BPD, for each untreated person with BPD. So if you're dating a borderline and you feel like they really loved you or loved you, but now you're not, now they're sort of acting different and they're always angry or silent, can you get them back to that original feeling you had, back to who you thought they were, back to what they were doing in the first place with the idealization, which isn't love bombing, by the way, in BPD. It's much more unconscious than in a lot of people with NPD who do love bomb. So it might seem like just word play, but it's really important to realize that. So, no, they're not going to love you again because they didn't love you in the first place. And that's really hard for people to hear and accept, or it leads a lot of people on these journeys of, I gotta learn more about BPD, I gotta understand, why don't they love me now? Why did they love me before, and why don't they love me now, and can I get that love back? Can you sort of start to see what a trail of illusion that becomes, that you couldn't have possibly known in the beginning, because they didn't love you in the beginning? That's what you felt, that's what you experienced, that's what you believed, that's what it seemed like. But then as things progress, they start to fall apart, because with people with BPD and that adverse childhood experience that really underlies what BPD really is all about, no matter what you call it, then these people don't really, like I said, they don't love, they don't attach. So even though it seems like they're so too good to be true in the beginning, they're just confusing love with need, you know, and they want to fuse and merge with you because in the beginning, because they don't know how to be alone. And a lot of people with codependency find that way too good to be true. To lots of clients have described it to me as the best they've ever felt in their lives. And who wouldn't want to get that feeling back? But trying to pursue the borderline or get back with them, or the recycling of relationships, you're never going to get that back. It's just unfortunately not the way it works once you've been devalued. And if a relationship has, you know, ended, or you've been ghosted, can't get them to love you again because they never loved you in the first place. And I can't say that enough, because, you know, people at different places in this journey, but people who are newer to this and finding out that somebody that they might be married to, love, be dating, has BPD, and you start looking at what's that about, and a lot of people start doing that with the hope, especially men, because men really go to logic right away, problem solve. Oh, because I had lots of clients say this to me too, lots of men, I'm just saying. They'll say, well, okay, so then we found out it was BPD, and I was like, okay, great, it has a name, like we could do something about it. Because that's the way a lot of men approach, some women too, I'm sure, approach difficulties, because you don't yet know that BPDs are really complicated. You know, childhood adverse experience, unhealed wounds, unhealed primal and deep core wounds that can be healed in therapy. But, you know, I mean, I'm somebody who recovered from BPD fully. It's not psychiatry's quote, cure, unquote, because that doesn't exist. But there are processes out there, and I've helped clients to recover. I've been recovered for 33 years, almost 34 years. And it doesn't matter to me what anybody online says, because that's the absolute truth. I didn't declare myself recovered, and it was documented, and I was told, and I was part of a study. But never minding that, most of you are dealing with an untreated person with BPD, so they're not even close to that. And by the way, my recovery, full recovery from BPD, took 15 years. So I put in the hard work. I went the whole journey. And it doesn't have anything to do with psychiatry's definition of this. But if you want to call it a serious mental illness, fine. But, you know, what's under that is the underpinnings of the adverse childhood experience, which is why people with BPD don't know themselves, which is why they can't love you. They didn't love you in the first place. So, can you get them to love you again? No. And it's really hard for people to hear that they never even loved you in the first place. And, you know, so I'll just add to that one more time. I'll say, you know, the pursuit of that feeling that you thought was love from the person who you thought they were wasn't really real, wasn't done to fool you, comes from an unconscious place and people with untreated BPD. And you, in good faith, met this person. This is awesome. You thought this is great, you know, and you've never fed your codependency like most people do in these relationships with people with BPD. That was like the best you ever felt. So I'm not here to work with you if you'd like to know the best you ever felt before, but through a process of healing and recovery from your codependency and the relationship, wherein you learn how to like and love yourself and create a healthy, functional relationship to and with yourself, instead of the codependent, dysfunctional relationship to and with yourself. And what all that really means, you can then find and know those wonderful feelings again, only this time authentically. And it's an inside job, this recovery journey, and how I work with clients. If I resonate with you, I'm out here to work with you, because you deserve to feel that again, but you never, but for real, and from the inside out, and even better than what the borderline gave you in the feeling, the best feeling of your life so far, maybe, of that idealization. But no, you can't ever get their love back, because you never had their love in the first place. Take care.